Take a look at your hands. The friction ridges on your fingertips, the pulse in your wrist, the specific way your thumb moves to scroll through this video. Every single cell in your body is a victory lap. Behind you stands a line of people. Your parents, and theirs. If you could see them all at once, the line would stretch back through skyscrapers, past the smoke of the Industrial Revolution, through the clanking of medieval plate armor, and deep into the silent, predatory shadows of the Pleistocene. That person? They had no idea you'd ever exist. They didn't know what a spreadsheet was, or why anyone would pay for cloud storage. Their entire universe was a desperate 24-hour cycle of don't get eaten and find a calorie. But here's the terrifying part. If that person, or any of the thousands of people between you and them, had slipped on a wet rock, caught a slightly more aggressive cough, or been just a second too slow to outrun a hungry cat, the screen you're looking at right now would be dark. Because you wouldn't be here. You aren't just lucky. You are the statistical impossibility that survived the meat grinder of history. Today we're looking at the 5 moments when the light of humanity almost went out forever. Number 5, the last glacial maximum. 20,000 years ago, the Earth wasn't a garden, it was an icebox. Imagine ice sheets 2 miles thick, heavy enough to crush mountains, smothering North America and Europe. Global temperatures were 6 degrees Celsius lower than today. That sounds small, but in planetary terms, it's the difference between a forest and a graveyard. Your ancestors lived in huts made of mammoth ribs. They wore animal skins stitched together with needles carved from bone. There were no pharmacies. An infected splinter was a death sentence. To eat, you had to pick a fight with a 6-ton woolly mammoth using nothing but a pointed stick and audacity. And while you were hunting the mammoth, the cave lion was hunting you. And yet in this frozen hell, we didn't just survive. We painted, we mastered fire. We refused to be a footnote in the fossil record. Number 4, the dawn of agriculture. It sounds like a promotion, doesn't it? We stopped running and started planting. But for your ancestors, this was the moment life actually got harder. Archaeologists call it the worst mistake in the history of the human race. By huddling together in permanent villages with livestock, we essentially invited every virus on the planet to a buffet. Smallpox, flu, malaria, they all jumped from animals to us. Our diets collapsed into a monoculture of grain. Our teeth rotted from the starch, our spines curved from the labor. One bad drought, one swarm of locusts, and the entire village starved. We traded the freedom of the hunt for the fragility of the field. We were one harvest away from extinction every single year. Number 3, the Mongol invasions. In the 1200s, if you saw a cloud of dust on the horizon, you didn't have time to pack. You had about 3 minutes to make peace with whatever god you worshipped. Genghis Khan didn't just conquer, he deleted. His armies invented a form of mobile warfare that wouldn't be matched until the tank divisions of World War II. They used psychological terror as a primary weapon, sometimes using the survivors of one city as human shields to storm the next. Historians estimate the Mongols killed 40 million people. At the time, that was 10% of everyone on Earth. If that happened today, it would be the equivalent of 800 million people vanishing in a single lifetime. It was a human-made apocalypse. But the Mongols brought something even deadlier than arrows. They reopened the Silk Road, and along that road traveled a stowaway. Number 2, the Black Death. In 1347, the world met Yersinia pestis. It wasn't a war you could fight. You caught it from a breath, a flea bite, or a handshake. Within days, your lymph nodes would swell into black, agonizing buboes. You would cough blood and die. Between 30% and 60% of Europe was wiped out. Think about that. Look at your 3 closest friends. In 1348, at least 2 of you are gone. The economy collapsed. Entire towns became ghost cities. It was the closest our biological software ever came to a total system crash. But none of these compare to the time we almost truly disappeared. Number 1, the Toba supervolcano. 74,000 years ago, Toba didn't just erupt, it tore the sky open. It ejected 670 cubic miles of debris. To visualize that, imagine the entire United States covered in a layer of ash several inches thick. The eruption triggered a volcanic winter that lasted a decade. Sunlight was blocked. Plants stopped growing. The food chain didn't just break, it evaporated. This wasn't a local disaster. This was a planetary reboot button. Current genetic research suggests that the human population plummeted to as few as 3,000 individuals. That's not a city. That's barely a high school. We became a genetic bottleneck. Every human being alive today, every billionaire, every soldier, every artist, and you, is a descendant of that tiny, shivering group of survivors who refused to die in the dark. But there's a deeper mystery here. A twist, if you will? Why did they survive when everyone else didn't? Was it just luck? Maybe. But science is starting to suggest something more profound. The ghost in the code. We used to think DNA was a static blueprint. But we now know about epigenetics. The way your environment can flip switches on your genes. There is a growing theory that the trauma of these bottlenecks, the starvation of Toba, the terror of the Black Death, is actually written into our methyl groups. You don't just carry your ancestors' nose or eye color, you carry their resilience. You are walking around with the survival patches installed by people who lived through the end of the world. Your anxiety? That might be a 74,000-year-old warning system tuned by the Toba ash. Your stubbornness? That's the legacy of a farmer who refused to give up on a dry field. And here is the most mind-bending part. Recent genomic studies have found ghost lineages in our DNA, traces of ancient human groups we haven't even found fossils for yet. They survived Toba too. They lived, they breathed, they loved. But eventually their line ended. Yours didn't. This is the survivor's paradox. If the universe is a machine designed to create nothingness, you are the glitch that keeps self-replicating. You are the impossible result. The fact that you are here, breathing, thinking about the universe, is a statistical miracle so grand it borders on the sacred. We spend so much time worrying about the future, about the next big thing that might end us. And maybe something will. But remember the line behind you? You come from a lineage of champions. Not the kind who won trophies, but the kind who won the right to exist. They survived the ice, the plague, the arrows, and the literal darkening of the sun. So the next time you feel small or like the world is too much to handle, just remember, you are the dream of 1,000 ancestors who refused to let the fire go out. Don't let it go out now. If you want to keep exploring the mysteries of how we got here and where we're going, stay curious. Subscribe to NAFMAS. We're glad you made it.